Hey there. I just got through editing the second episode of Inside the Creative Mind, and this episode featured Brock Alexander, who is the front person for the old number fives. And I made some notes that I wanted to share with you um, about the episode and just some follow up thoughts. And so the first thing I wanted to mention is that, you know, life is short. And I got to tell you, talking with Brock just reminded me, and Katerina too, and everybody I've filmed so far and everybody I've got lined up, that I have just been so blessed to have known or know, I should say, so many just good souls, just people that are just good. And I mean, we all have our flaws, but when you get right down to the core of it, man, I've just been fortunate that a lot of these folks that I'm going to be introducing you to are just good people. And I wanted to point that out. The second thing I wanted to mention is that I'm just really shocked that we were able to get out of talking about the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix so quickly, because I could talk about either one of those for hours on end, especially probably more so the Beatles than Jimmy. But I love both of them, and they both have occupied for me in my life a significant role. So I'm curious though about I asked Brock what's his favorite Beatles song, and then also I asked him what's his favorite Jimi Hendrix song. So if you see this, I would be curious, what is your favorite Beatles song, and what's your favorite Jimi Hendrix song? Let me know in the comments, please. The third thing that I made a note of is I forgot to ask Brock about whether or not he owns a Les Paul. I think if I shared the same birthday as Les Paul, I would have to own a Les Paul some way, somehow. It's really a strange thing too, is, I've owned and sold, more guitars than I certainly have digits. And out of all the guitars I've had Strats, and I've had some, a nice Hamer and some really nice Ibanez's and stuff. But I've never had a Les Paul. And it's kind of on my bucket list of things I would like to have one. I think right now my neck and shoulders probably couldn't take the weight of the damn thing, but I still would love to have one. So anyway, I thought that was interesting that, he shares that same birth date as him. And then the last thing I want to kind of talk about is Brock just reminded me, and as I was going back through old footage of him with his kind of guest, artist to kind of, cut heads with, and take turns on solos and stuff like that for this show that he did at my venue. Is looking back at it, and just reminded of how incredible the blues scene is in Kansas City, and that I don't think gets enough recognition. There's some folks that I hope to have on the show that really excel, and I feel very fortunate to have known some of the great blues people that have come up recently, or recently, I say the last couple decades. Long story made short, when I was first kind of just recording on my own, I had my own studio set up, and I was writing a lot of songs, but I wasn't out performing them. We did a short stint with one version of the band called The Decadent, but it was short-lived. We couldn't keep it together. So I just started immersing myself and just started writing. But to get out of that shell, my friend Scott got me to go up to a local bar that was really close to where I lived. And playing in that bar was a band called Trampled Underfoot that had an open mic night there. And so really kind of the first kind of getting back to performance kind of thing I did was with these guys. And, Chris, God rest his soul, was I had a friendship with him. We threw back shots a couple times, But Danielle and Nick, they're just the Schneblins. They're just incredible artists in the blues space. Danielle is kicking ass and taking names, and Nick is too. And I feel very fortunate to have known them. They're really cool people, and they're really amazing talents too. And then Samantha Fish. I remember seeing Samantha, and I can't remember what like little restaurant it was, but it was somewhere near me, and it was just like tucked in a corner. And I was like, but she was so talented that I was like, I want to try to sign her. And then of course, I never got a chance to. I mean, and I couldn't have competed with most of those folks anyway. So, but there's so many. I mean, I'm not going to do it justice if I even try to name all these names. But for me, at my place, I had the old number fives were one of the bands I had. One of the other ones I had was Jason Vivoni and the Billy Bats, who I need to reach out to Jason. I would like to get him on the show. But man, just if you get a chance, it's Google, or if you're in Kansas City or you get a chance to come to Kansas City, ask locals about checking out the blues scene. You will not be disappointed. Those are my notes from Brock's interview. He's a good dude, and like I said, if you get a chance to check out the old number fives on Spotify or check out their website, and you won't be disappointed. Great talent, good songwriter, good dudes. Okay, see you around.